Good morning, everyone. It is the world famous combo video of premium and public video discussions with a storm on the way. It's Wednesday, February 20th, 2019, and we have a very interesting storm that is setting up. In terms of meteorology, you got various levels in the atmosphere, okay? We call them 700 millibar level, 500 millibar level. You hear about that a lot, in weather discussions. And these levels are very important in determining things like precipitation type, intensity, where that intensity is setting up. So we're going to dive into that a little bit today and kind of explain how the storm is evolving and also look at what to expect throughout the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area, and of course throughout much of the Northeast as the storm evolves. So what this storm is basically an isotropic lifting event. What that basically means is that warm air is pushing over cold air, and that cold air is retreating. So as a result, we start off with snow, and then you start to mix over to sleet, freezing rain, and eventually rain. Getting to that process can be rather tricky. Now, on the radar right now, it looks like it's snowing all the way up into New York City, but it is not. In reality, the precipitation is pretty much falling over southwestern Pennsylvania, West Virginia, northern Virginia, and around central Maryland. And the reason why we're seeing that is that what we have at the surface, and this is a very important key factor here, is a lot of dry air. Now, you see how these dew points, this is what this is. This is the dew point right here. When it's at 11 degrees and your surface air temperature is at 30, 31 degrees, that means that the precipitation coming in is evaporating before reaching the ground. Think of it this way. You just got done with a hot shower. You step out and all of a sudden you feel a little chilly, right? Well, what's happening is that colder, dry air from outside the bathroom is coming into your shower and evaporating that water that's on your body in the atmosphere. So you get a bit of a chill. That's essentially what's starting to happen here, okay? The precipitation is starting to come in, the temperatures are going to fall a little bit, and what that is called is evaporational cooling. So the precipitation is falling from the cloud, but not reaching the ground. So while that's happening, when you take a look at the water vapor satellite picture, you can see all this moisture streaming in. And you have what's here is sinking air, right? This right here tells us where the high pressure system's going. Down here is an upper level ridge, okay? We call it a southeast ridge, okay? This is the bane of every snow lover's winter, okay? Because when you get this set up, it's really hard to get any type of low pressure system developing along the coast. But what you do have is a storm lifting up through the Great Lakes and driving all this moisture and warm air right around this ridge, right into the cold air in place, right into our neck of the woods. So you can see the whole evolution of the storm right here on the satellite pictures. So let's break this down by level. Now this is 700 millibars, and this is a really key observation that I was harping on ahead of the storm development. The winds at 700 millibars this morning are stronger and more focused towards the mid-Atlantic. The warm air transport is focused towards the mid-Atlantic. So you're seeing a warming of this level of the atmosphere a lot faster than all the others. And this is a really important observation because what this tells us is that while we're seeing periods of heavy snow over southern Pennsylvania, central and western Maryland, and also West Virginia and northern Virginia, where we expect the most snowfall, that air mass is all below freezing. By the time that lifting gets up to this area here, this column of the atmosphere will all be pushing above freezing. And that means that precipitation will not be pure snow, but a mix of snow and sleet. And that starts to influence your forecasting in terms of how much snow each location is getting and the precipitation type. At 700 millibars, this is what's called frontogenesis. Okay, think of it like a little warm fronts, okay? Here's one warm front, here's another warm front, here's a cold front back here. So these are basically upper level frontal boundaries, okay? You see it on the map at the surface, cold fronts, warm fronts. This is kind of the same idea, but higher up in the atmosphere. So here's our first wave, Here's our second wave, and these are lifting northward towards the region. Now you see this little axis here? Keep an eye on that at 850 millibars. Now 850 millibars you see a lot of people focus on in terms of who's going to get the heaviest snowfall. Where's this rain snow line, and so on and so forth. And usually it's a pretty good indicator, but not in this case because of what's happening at 700 millibars. Still, there are some interesting features here. First of all, the warm air transport is clearly more focused right now over the Ohio River Valley and pushing northeastward. Now, what that typically means is that your strongest lifting is focused back towards southwestern Pennsylvania, through western Maryland, West Virginia, and northern Virginia. That's why we're seeing that snowfall really take shape here. Notice we have what's called a signature or cold air damming. Cold air coming down through the Appalachian Mountains. You see these cold pockets here? This is how you're going to get your intense snow, ladies and gentlemen. If you're around Lancaster, if you're down towards the northwestern suburbs of Washington and Baltimore, this is why you're going to see heavy snow this morning, because this is some very cold air, and these cold pockets means there's instability in the atmosphere. Now, you see this ridge axis here? See this little bend here? This is a little bit of sinking air, and this is really important because it's going to slow down the progression of the snow pushing into the region. So you're seeing on the radar, hey, there's snow falling over my neck of the woods, but nothing's reaching the ground. This is part of that problem here. You have dry at the surface, and you have this ridge axis. So two of these factors here are suppressing the progression of the snowfall into the northern mid-Atlantic. But don't fear, this will lift away, and that precipitation will invade just in time for this afternoon. So basically, I'm looking at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. You'll start to see that snow really creep in to much of the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan areas. At 850 millibars, again, notice a lot of your frontogenesis, a lot of your lifting is focused back towards the Ohio River Valley. However, as this jet streak shifts towards Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania, all this lifting will become enhanced as this ridge axis swings back towards New England this afternoon evening and supports very intense lifting over the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. Just about the time when you really don't want it, which is the evening rush hour. Finally, at 925 millibars, this is something that we're going to have to watch very, very carefully. Remember the last little messy storm that we dealt with throughout the region where that cold air really hung in? Well, that cold air hung in because the 925 millibar temperatures, these right here, remained a bit chillier, and also the dry air that was in place. So we're really seeing this really nice CADE signature show up here. The warm air transport is not as strong, and the cold air is a little bit more intense. Now, I don't think this is going to lead to more snow, but watch out for persistent freezing rain and sleet, especially around eastern Pennsylvania to the northwest of Philadelphia, northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley, Connecticut, and as you head up towards Massachusetts and around the Capital District in Albany. Notice up here in New England, at pretty much every level that we've talked about, it is pretty chilly. And it's going to remain pretty much all snow up there. So the snow, it's going to be pretty much an all snow event. But this isn't a major storm. This is the reason why this storm is being covered, and the reason why some governors are throwing out state of emergency is that you're talking about sleet and freezing rain at the middle of an evening rush hour in a major metropolitan area. Not a good thing. So overall, you're talking about, you know, a light to moderate snowfall, a little bit heavier back towards Lancaster and central Pennsylvania and the northwest suburbs of Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. But overall, this is a light to moderate snow event with sleet and freezing rain, which is always a concern. So, when we take a look at the infrared satellite picture, this tells me where the lifting is. Now you see these brighter cloud tops here. That means there's pockets of stronger lifting. So it's not going to be a sustained wave. It's going to be pockets of lifting. Heavy precipitation, lighter precipitation. Don't be surprised if you see snow, periods of heavy snow. Then that snow tapers off. It gets more sleet and freezing rain. Then back over to heavy snow and sleet. And back and forth through this afternoon evening as these little pockets of lifting move through the region. So let's take a look at this forecast for today. We're going to use the HRR guidance here. This is from weathermodels.com, an excellent website. Also check out weather.us, excellent weather data. So definitely check that out. So here we have the HRR, and it pretty much shows what is expected for this afternoon, evening, especially for this afternoon, the Philadelphia Metro, and in the evening for the New York City Metro. We're going to be talking about periods of heavy snow mixing with sleet, gradually mixing over to sleet and freezing rain, and then rain right about between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. throughout the coastal regions. Now notice up towards New England that snow finally pushes in towards the Boston Metro right towards the end of the evening rush hour, and in the overnight periods you get periods of heavy snowfall pushing into New England. We go over to rain along the coast, but notice we keep that wintry mix of sleet and freezing rain, especially freezing rain around the Poconos, around northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley. So it's going to be icy, okay? So that is the key thing I want to really bring out here. This may not be a major snowstorm, but ice, you don't need much, okay? So if you don't have to travel this afternoon, evening, I would suggest not doing so, because sleet and freezing rain, again, you don't need much to create some traffic problems and put people in danger. So definitely just beware of that. So the overall forecast, again, we're not talking about a ton of snow, but just the timing of it and the nature of the precipitation is going to be an issue. So in this purple area, we're talking about 1 to 4 inches, a trace to 1/10 of an inch of ice. As you move further west, back towards portions of south central Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, even pushing into Washington, D.C. and Baltimore just a little bit. 4 inches more so towards the city, 8 inches possible back over here, okay, with 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice, okay. This is where the cold air is really going to put up a fight at all levels of the atmosphere. At the surface where it's going to really put up a fight is over the interior, where again, we're looking at 1 to 4 inches of snow. The more sleet you see, the closer you are towards that 1 inch, but 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice will be possible because the cold air at the low levels will stick in. Again, at the coast, talking about a trace to 1/10, still the same type of snowfall amount, about 1 inch to 4 inches. Again, the more sleet mix in, the closer you are to that inch. The more snow, the closer you are to that 4 inches of snow. And that same rule pretty much sets up for New England as well. Again, the only location where you're going to see all snow is northern New England, ski country, where we're looking at 3 to 6 inches of snow. We're not looking at a major blizzard or anything of that nature. And if you have family and friends back up towards the eastern Great Lakes, they pretty much miss most of this event. Trace to 1 inch. You may actually see more snowfall from any type of lake enhancement that might set up after this storm leaves tomorrow afternoon. So overall, that is pretty much what we're expecting for this storm. And let's dive in for the rest of the week. So again, this afternoon, just a mix of and a mess of everything. Temperatures rising into the lower to mid 30s. For tomorrow, that storm starts to pull away with a few lingering showers followed by clearing skies in the afternoon. Look for lows in the lower to mid 30s, basically around midnight, rising through the day. And then look for highs in the upper 40s to lower 50s as the winds downslope off the Appalachian Mountains and warm this air mass up, which will produce some very nice weather conditions and pretty much melt anything that's on the ground. On Friday, high pressure will be in place with clear skies, lows in the lower 30s, highs in the lower 40s. On Saturday, high pressure will start to exit the region. Look for increasing cloud cover, lows in the mid to upper 20s, highs in the upper 30s to lower 40s. On Sunday, this low pressure system will be lifting up towards the Great Lakes. With it, a lot of rainfall, looking at anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain, and temperatures being rather warm. Look for lows in the upper 30s to lower 40s, highs in the upper 50s to lower 60s. So definitely an all rain event. On Monday, look for scattered cloud cover, but windy with a few passing cold fronts. Could see an isolated snow shower or two, with temperatures falling through the day, with lows in the upper 20s to lower 30s, highs in the upper 30s to lower 40s. On Tuesday, high pressure will be in place with scattered cloud cover, with lows in the upper 20s, highs in the mid to upper 30s. And on Wednesday, we're going to watch this storm system very carefully with the potential for some snow and rain. It could be some significant snow at that, but we'll keep an eye on it, see how it sets up. Lows in the lower 20s, high